behalf of the Government of Kenya and the African Development Bank Group, I wish to extend a warm welcome to all distinguished guests and delegates to the highly anticipated 2024 annual meetings.
We are in Nairobi, Kenya, where the 59th annual meetings of the African Development Bank and the 50th meetings of the Board of Governors for the African Development Fund has commenced.
This is the 59th annual meeting of the African Development Bank Group and also marks 60th anniversary of the African Development Bank. It is thus a celebration.
The 5-day event commenced on the 27th of May and will carry on until the 31st of May 2024.
Kenya's desire to host the 2024 annual meeting and the 59th annual meeting of the African Development Bank Group underscores its commitment to advancing regional and continental cooperation towards an inclusive and sustainable development. The Republic of Kenya takes pride in the foresights of His Excellency the President of the Republic of Kenya, Dr. William Samoei Ruto, in singling out contemporary African problems of socio-economic transformation required given the existential threat of climate change.
This year's theme for the annual meetings is Africa's transformation, the African Development Bank Group, and the reform of the global financial architecture.
Now, what is the role of the African Development Bank in that whole transformation process? Is being implicated in the theme, and within that is the international financial architecture, which was designed mainly to deal with how to resuscitate Europe after the end of the Second World War, and to what extent that has been applied to other developing countries. In other words, making access to development finance available, and what role the AFDB can play within that whole process is something that will be within the whole overall discussion that we'll be having. So it's fully loaded.
This week's events will consist of statutory meetings of its governors and knowledge events, with attendees to include representatives of bilateral and multilateral development agencies, leading academics, non-governmental organizations, civil society, and the private sector.
But this is the beginning of a whole lot of discussion that will be going on for many decades to come.
We work with others to get things done, and we are able to pull all of that together globally to get $72 billion for African economies to be able to do their agriculture. The other part, which is critical for Africa's economic transformation, is energy. You cannot industrialize in the dark, you cannot be competitive in the dark, and you cannot grow economies when you have no power.
The annual meetings provide an opportunity for reflection of the African Development Bank Group's commitment of accomplishing its mission of developing the African continent and improving the lives of its people.
No single institution, I don't care how much money you have, is going to be able to solve the challenges that we face. It's only by working together. And my bank staff know me that my principle is what I call the baobab approach. You go to an African village, you have a baobab tree there, right? You try and put your hands around it, you can't. But if you join your hands with other people around that tree, you can put your hands around it. That's what we do as African Development Bank.